When we left off, our crew was starting to arrive and we were hard at work getting Makara, our Celestial 48, ready to sail.
Let's come!
You want it back? You want it back?
Yeah, I want, let's see, I want them probably both on the back side. Yeah, it's looking good, mate.
Our final crew member we're waiting on has shown up today, and they're right to work. There they are, climbing the mast for us. They're going to do some measurements for us for lazy jacks. That's Matthew, and we'll say good day to him a little bit later on here.
Simple. I got it.
Well, we have the full team here today. Everyone's all gung-ho, tackling projects, trying to get stuff done, putting together a few lists of what our top priorities are so we can kind of organize and find teams of people to tackle things. Right now, everyone is out running errands, which is awesome. It's giving me an opportunity to sort through all of the food provision storage on this boat, clean out all of the cupboards, and organize and sort through what we have. You can look behind me. This is not even near, but there is a ton of canned food on this boat, a ton of like vacuum sealed, dry storage type stuff, flours, rice, sugars. Going through, seeing what's good. Most of the canned goods are still within date, but some are pretty rusty, so I'm sorting through cans. There's a huge bag of like Costco sized rice in here, but unfortunately there's some bugs in it, so stuff like that's getting thrown out. Giving the cupboards a good clean out, making sure there's nothing in there. Everything's looking pretty good so far. No evidence of any sort of bug or rat or rodent infestation, so that's really good. Just getting everything cleaned out while I have a bit of space and no people around. The thing that's really cool about this boat is all of the tankage is in the bilge. So we have 250 gallons of water and 250 gallons of diesel all in the bilge. That means under the settees is all storage, whereas on Varuna, that's water tanks and not that great usable storage. We have a little bit of storage in the bilge, but nothing compared to what you would get under a settee. So this is the start of our provisioning. We're at Costco here. Well, it's Spy's dad's last day here with the car. We're going to take advantage of that.
Going to get a bit of a break day on projects. We've got the crew's going to do some of their own thing. They're going to do a bit of work. They're going to have a bit of a relaxed day. We're going to go do a bit of a trip around the islands. With my dad for the last day, we've got the cast, we're going to do jerry cans, and we're going to do a bit of a Costco run like Hillary said.
Just starting off with some basic staples.
Bulky stuff. We don't usually do Costco's, but with 6 people on board, it's going to be perfect for bulk.
Using a lot more. Having access to such a big store was a big change from the small supermarkets we had grown accustomed to in the villages of Latin America. As we were provisioning for 6 people for 30 days, we took advantage of the bulk items available to us here, but still limited our perishable and refrigerated items.
No spaghetti though, yeah?
Yeah, we should get spaghetti too. Got some Portuguese sausage here. The cool thing about this is they are individually wrapped, so you can only open one at a time if you want. It's all pre-cooked, so you don't worry about raw meats, vacuum sealed, and open one at a time. Good stuff.
That's for one of these.
This is awesome sausage we discovered in Costa Rica, of all places. It's Chinese style sausage, not refrigerated until you open it. Super tasty on pizzas and pasta, rice, everything. Yum. Thankful yet again for the car, the dock, and the cart, the unloading process began.
That's it for refrigeration?
That is it. Part 2 of provisioning is stowing and organizing the items on board. I had mapped out a plan for each cupboard, including a deep storage resupply area for items that we had a lot of. The next morning, part 2 of the provisioning process continued with a new toy, a vacuum sealer. Makara, being a bigger boat with a lot more space, has room to store gadgets like this that there simply is not room for on Varuna. It was perfect for sealing and storing the large amount of bulk dry goods, like flour and rice, needed for a larger crew and a longer sail. Good morning.
Hi, how's it going?
They say slide
Good.
back. Last time we
Where are we at?
Getting everything cleaned up so we can get ready to get on out of here. We have to be out. Today is Saturday. Tuesday is our last day that we are allowed to be here. So down to the wire.
We got a bunch of noisy people over here. Always making noise.
The new one connects. These are thermocouples, 2 that don't work. This is the new one that we just got last night. And we're going to put the thermocouple here in the oven and we're going to be able to make bread. What more do you need?
This is our local maid service here.
Housekeeping! Trying to reseal this port light. Right
So
here.
the gasket's off of it and you've cleaned it all up.
Cleaned it all up. I'm going to seal it and clamp it back in place and then
Hopefully we don't get any water.
batten down the hatches. Thankfully, the new thermocoupler works. We're going to have bread one of these days. It's all working. We just got to get all the pieces back together.
Now there's no excuses for us not to actually
No
do some bacon.
excuses. Yeah, right. We are testing the front hatch to see if Matthew was able to fix the leak that was in it, the obvious leak that was in it. We're just about to test it. Whoa.
Okay, he's coming more indirect from the sides now.
Boy.
The next project on the list was measuring and marking the anchor chain, a project well suited to being at a dock. Makara came with a 33-kilo Rockna anchor and a guesstimated amount of 3/8-inch Triple B chain. Matthew and Kathy unloaded the chain onto the dock to inspect, measure, and mark it. We discovered we had 90 meters, or about 300 feet of chain. We opted to mark it every 10 meters and then loaded it back into the boat. Back there, Adam is hard at work removing the old name from the back of the boat. The previous name of this vessel was Sea Dragon, and it's still going to be a Sea Dragon, but a different kind. It's going to be named Makara. Makara is kind of a half land, half sea creature, and it's related to the name Varuna, for those of you who know that story. But first step first, we got to get the old name off so we can put the new name on. The old name was painted on here, just like hand painted, I think with some regular paint. The removal process is going very slowly.
Sea Dragon is no more.
What?
We've taken the sea, we've removed the Sea Dragon.
Yeah, look at all this stuff on here. Yeah. No, that looks pretty good. That's it.
How was it removing this name? Tell us about it.
It was a chore. I got to give Adam a lot of credit. He worked at it for 8 hours with a razor blade, and I came behind him with a sander, and we got that name off.
Okay.
So I don't know if I'm going to be able to see this. Oh, there's a little bit of a bubble around that R.
Yeah, I'm just holding it even. We had ordered some vinyl lettering online for Makara's new name, and all we had to do now that the back was clear was apply it.
Yeah, this works really well with the cutting it.
Nice.
Ma.
Ma.
Yeah.
Makara. Putting our home port, Portland, Oregon on.
No longer a Hawaii boat.
It is not a Hawaii boat any longer. After a couple of weeks going back and forth, trying to test these batteries, seeing how they charge, seeing what their voltage is, when they're charging, when they've stopped charging at night, when there's no solar coming in, or we don't have a charger hooked up to them, we have determined that we don't think the batteries are any good, which was kind of our hunch all along, but we were going to try to salvage them if we could. we made the call the other day that let's just stop messing with it. Know we have a good battery bank that will get us through. So we just got 4 new batteries, 4 6-volt deep cycle batteries, pulled out the old ones, and now we just have to put these guys in and we'll be good to go power-wise.
Yeah, so one bank's positive to negative, positive, negative. Then you got positive to positive, negative to negative, and you're running off of the negative of one bank and the positive of the other bank. Because if you flip that, the positive's over here. So it must have been in this direction. These
Before you start a project like this, highly recommended to take a photo of how the setup is if you're keeping the same setup, since you already have cables cut to the correct size to get the batteries wired correctly, whether you're doing them in series or parallel or whatever it is. Way easier if you take a photo. We had a photo of the batteries when there were 8 altogether, but we are cutting the bank down to just 4.
That's probably good though.
That's why we want to move the battery somewhere else.
Yes, on a slide out bloody tray or something,
yeah.
You know?
Or under the stairs.
1-800 AAA batteries delivery service sticker right there.
One should be able to reach negative, negative there. It looks like either way they'll fit.
Adam, an engineer, was a huge help in analyzing our power on board, and had also spent days working on our wind generator, which hadn't been working due to an uncrimped wire connection. In addition to all of the projects we had going on in order to get the boat ready to sail, we also wanted to make sure that as a crew, everyone was ready for the passage. Since Makara was usually torn apart and in full-on project mode, we took Varuna out in the evenings to give the crew some experience working together and to show some of our less experienced crew the ropes.
Alright guys, what's going on here?
Kathy's sailing. Kathy's at the helm. We're on a beam reach, and there's not a whole lot of wind tonight. It's a pretty slow sail. We're making 2.8 knots.
Down a little.
How does it feel to be at the helm there, Kathy?
Wonderful.
Nice.
Down a little bit.
Adam, how's the day been?
Great.
What'd you accomplish today?
Almost got the backup solar panel in place. You need to come down.
Down.
Welcome to Matt's idle hour.
On.
Paltry attempt at
Keep doing this.
trying to test my gut.
There's going to be a problem.
I need more wind and rougher seas,
It's just
but
developing now.
so far I'm good.
Good.
With our projects on Makara wrapping up, we brought her out of the harbor to give her a more thorough bottom clean than we'd been able to last week. This time, I dove on her with a tank to really work on some of the hard growth that I had found on the keel.
We had a box of engine parts come in this week. We had really good experience here with the Phoenician, and Kim, she helped us out and got these in super quick. Got our fuel filters here. More importantly, we were waiting on this little hose part here, which is for the back of that seawater pump, our raw water pump, and the hose looks really pretty bad. So as we were troubleshooting our exhaust water issues or our raw water overboard issues, we found out that this pump, this hose here, looked pretty bad shape. So this is the hose we need to put on. It was very difficult to get the old one off, which is probably why it's really beat up. Well, officially no longer for sale. Probably a good way to cut myself, actually.
Yeah, don't cut yourself.
Ah,
It's a bad way to start the trip. Yes.
Do it like away from myself?
Cut away from yourself.
No longer for sale. At least not currently. Okay.
Well, it has been a very, very, very busy 4 weeks here in Hawaii.
We've been full on from sun up till sundown. We've had help from my dad who flew over, Marshall who flew over from the Big Island. Great helps. And then they flew out, and then we had our crew fly in. We've got Daryl, Kathy, Matthew, Adam, all working hard as every day long, really putting in the hours and getting everything ship shape. Most of that work's been here on the Celestial, which now has a name.
Makara. This is Makara, as you've probably seen. So pretty early on, due to Ty's health, we made the decision that we're just going to focus on Makara, the new Celestial 48. That is going to be the boat that we are sailing back to Washington right now before we fly back, and then we'll do it again with Varuna. So we've been focusing on getting Makara all ready here.
We're about to head off and get some eggs. It's the last of our provisions.
Last of our provisions, and then it's time to say goodbye and set off
See you
sailing.
guys from the water.
Thanks so much for watching, and a huge thanks to our Patreon Adrift crew who support the making of these videos. If you enjoyed watching, be sure to give us a thumbs up, share with your friends, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on the rest of the adventure. Until next time, adios!